Hey, what's up? I'm Dave Boyer, aka Mr. Boyer, aka the Swamp Man, in Great Sand Dunes National Park, Colorado. Let me give you a look and we'll talk about a few things. You don't think of sand dunes in Colorado, not in our state. We could go to Jockey's Ridge, and those sand dunes aren't quite this big. But they're pretty fun too. You can go check that out with a much shorter drive than to come to Colorado, but this is pretty spectacular. So if you don't expect to see a sand dune in Colorado, you expect to see mountains. Where did it come from? So most of these things that we're seeing around and talking about with the earth, they take incredibly long periods of time to form. Rocks, mountains, rivers, all those things take a long period of time to form. Sand dunes like this are no different. So you have this plain out there that's sandy, and as the prevailing westerly winds, as they blow this way, they're picking up a lot of that sand, or they did in the past pick up a lot of that sand and blow it this way. But the direction that it's going is blocked by mountains. That's the Sangre de Cristo mountains in Colorado. And so as the winds are blowing it that way, the sand is heavy enough, it's dense enough that the updrafts that are going over the mountain can't pick it up and lift it up over the mountain. So it tends to get stuck right here at the base of the mountains. But if it was only that, we would expect that the side of the mountain would just be covered in sand and not have these sand dunes, these rounded tops and everything that are out here that make it an incredibly spectacular place to come. And that's because of how the mountains around it are interacting with it. So in mountains, it's not just like it goes up and then you've got a mountain forever. It obviously has to come down, and mountain chains have mountains going up and down and up and down and up and down. Well, those bottom parts, those low parts, are called passes. And there's three main passes. I wouldn't be able to get all three names of them off the top of my head. Mosca is one. Monty maybe is one. I don't know the name of the three passes that are right here, but the passes sometimes allow wind to come in from the north, especially in the winter. The trade winds and the jet stream change their shape during the winter and cause wind to change its normal pattern. So the wind then can come through those passes from the north, and it pushes the sand back and piles it up into these mounds that make up the sand dunes. So it's like the sand is being thrown around, being pushed around by two different prevailing winds that are coming. We got the winds blowing from the plains, and then the winds coming back into this area through the passes in the mountains. Pretty neat little interaction of weather there and the geology. One last thing is deposition. So when we're studying the breakdown of rocks get broken down, that's weathering. So the sand came from rocks in the Colorado Plateau that have been broken down into their little sand particles. And then you have erosion. Erosion is the movement of broken down rock. So those winds we were talking about, they were doing the force of erosion, moving the sand here. And then the third of those is deposition. And deposition is where those rock particles come to a stop. And a sand dune like this can be a site of deposition. This sand traveled from miles away and has piled up here and deposited here. That's deposition. Pretty awesome. Beautiful day. It's warm, but it's not incredibly hot, except for when you're walking. And the sand is definitely radiating a lot of heat, so you get hot kind of more from down below than from the wind or the air up above. Pretty cool. I'd love to make it up to the top, but we're already pretty tired. We're hiking. We just carried our two daughters, Abby and Belle, up a good bit of this sand dune already, and I don't think we're going to make it up to the top, so I just want to stop here and share with you. Take Science Rocks. Peace.